the Maplewood Garden Club, we make our own soil. This is Jumpin' Jesse, shoveling soil from bin 2 into the sifter. The process we use for making potting soil is simple, but it's labor intensive. This is a cutaway of bin 1. This is our starting bin. We start with a 6-inch layer of leaf mold, then add a bale of peat moss, then add another layer of super perlite. We make this in 3 layers and let it sit for a week or more. And then we shred the soil into bin 2. The shredding mixes the soil, plus removes a lot of the rocks, sticks, plastic bottles, and other debris. And then we shovel the contents of bin 2 into the sifter, and that becomes our final product. What you're seeing here is just sweeping the tray of all the debris into the wheelbarrow below. We repeat this 3 to 4 times a year. And now you'll get to see Jumpin' Jesse jumping into action. And now Jess will remove the finished product and dump it into bin 3. We use this soil for potting up bare root and transplanting all the plants that you'll see at the plant sale. And please make sure you say hello to the soil gang at the plant sale.
I'm Laura Nile, and my responsibility is to handle the delivery and the potting up of the bare roots and plugs that we always do happily in this greenhouse in March every year. This year we had 64 crates of plants material delivered, and we had it all potted up within a few weeks with everybody's help. You all remember that you had those little plugs, and this is what they turn into. This is a Brunera Jack Frost. It's a lovely shade, semi-shade plant. Has lovely little forget-me-not-like flowers every year. And we have plenty of these available. This year we have a new plant that we tried, a GM. This is GM Petticoats Peach. It's a lovely little plant, very delicate looking flowers. It's turned out very nicely for us. And this one is a Pulmonaria Silver Bouquet. As you can see, the leaves are variegated, and so are the flowers, multiple colors. It's a lovely plant, very easy to grow and shade tolerant. This one, also flowering, I'll show you the flowering ones first, is a Spring Beauty Anemone. Usually anemones, as you may know, Japanese anemones, bloom in the fall. This is a spring blooming version that is very, very sweet, and we all lusted over it last year. We have a number of ferns, since this is Maplewood and we have a lot of shade. This one is Ethereum pictum Godzilla, a lovely variegated form of Japanese fern. And this one is a Dryopteris cristata. They're both beautifully grown, and those of you who are here for the potting up know they were not visible at all when we put them in these pots. And look how beautifully they've grown. This lovely variegated plant is Heliopsis sunstruck. It's like a daisy-like flower. It gets beautiful yellow flowers, but the foliage is also very attractive in the garden. This takes sun. This year we also are offering grapes. This grape is called Reliance. All grapes that we have are seedless, so no need to worry about that. But look how much in just a few weeks, how much it's grown. So it'll do beautifully in your garden. And of course we have the old standby, Dicentra. This one is Dicentra Valentine, which is a lovely, it has already bloomed inside of here. But these are very vigorous and will come back in your garden year after year. And this year also we have a lovely sweet plant called Cicerincum. lucerne. We've had this in the past, and this year we were able to buy them in plugs. This has bloomed, and it will continue. It's a spring blooming flower, but it will do very well. You can see how the plant is very well rooted and very nicely grown. So this will last for years in your garden. We also grew from plugs our sweet potato vine. This year we have 3, the chartreuse, the blackie, and a new one, Russo. So you have a choice of leaf shape and color. And they also, you get 3 in a pot, which is a great bargain for everyone. And we tried this year the copa and Bidens. So that's also a bargain. 3 in a pot, good value, nicely grown. They'll grow very well in your containers. So we have container plants, we have perennials, everything for your needs. Now we'll go in the back in the garden behind the greenhouse to check out all the cold frames, which are full. Now we're in the garden behind the greenhouse where we have 4 cold frames, which are all full with plants that we potted up in March. Once again, we have our trusty old Dicentra, Bleeding Heart. We have the pink and we have the white, and they love being out here. They're very healthy, very good plants. In the center of this bed are peonies. They're all different colors, white, pink, coral. So you have a nice selection of them, and they too have buds even on them. So when you come, you'll see a great variety that you can choose from. Peonies are very well loved plants. We also like to bring a lot of ground cover. This is Elenium Purple Rain. Very nice for your garden, and a lovely ground cover. And the others, we also have Gallium as a ground cover. Right here, which is sweet woodruff, produces lovely white flowers. Another special plant back here is the Tiarella, foam flower. It's a relative of the heuchera, which we also have some, but these get lovely, lovely foliage and lovely flowers at this time of year, and we have a lot of those available. One thing I wanted to mention is that Alita in particular is very interested in how many plants we sell. So I added them up, and the bare root and plugs, we had 3,800 of them that we've grown, potted up ourselves, and all in the cold frames and inside the greenhouse. From cuttings and seedlings, we have another 800 plants. We bring in another 7,700 pots, and we have 1,100 flats of annuals, vegetables. Plus, we'll have more material from the garden behind the greenhouse and member grown. So all in all, we have over 14,000 plants at the sale. I didn't count them all, so this is an approximation, but it's a lot. So tell your friends and neighbors, great variety, please come to the sale.
I've been with the Garden Club for about 20 years. I do the staging for the plant sale. I also grow things from seed, cuttings, and the caladium. And Judy and I do the caladium. We start them from bulbs in around February. So have a look at this. We've got a big variety. I mean, these are just gorgeous. We've got a beautiful white one, pinks, reds. They're irresistible. Well, everything on these tables is things that I've grown from seed. I try to pick varieties that would not necessarily be found in a nursery, something that's a little different, and something that's also fun. For example, this is an amaranth. We try to do a different amaranth each year. This one gets about 4 feet tall with these big purple plumes. It's gorgeous. This is it's a Nicotiana, but it's a deep rose color with a really pretty scent. We've got 2 different nasturtiums this year. We've got a raspberry and an apricot. As you can see, the leaves are variegated, which is gorgeous. The flowers are edible. They're also, trailers and fun for your pots or your garden. We have Chinese lantern. Chinese lantern is always a lot of fun. It's, it gets this nice mound with these, little purple Chinese lanterns on it. Kids love it. I love it. And there's just, you can bring it in the house and dry it, and you'll have it for the winter. I have something called honeywort. This is a really unusual plant. It gets a really funky blue flower. And look at these leaves. They just grow. They're so different. You don't see that everywhere. So we start that from seed every year. I have cotton. We try to do a cotton each year. Cotton is great because you get to pick your own cotton and put it in a bowl, and people are kind of amazed that you grew cotton. And let's see, this is Lisianthus. We buy these as plugs and pot them up. Gets a gorgeous orange flower, and it's really always a bestseller for us. This is something I did from cuttings. It's called Hot Lips Salvia, and this'll bloom in red and white. This bloomed for me last year all the way into November. It gets tall, full, and it just keeps blooming. It's wonderful. We'll have a lot of different salvias also from our vendors, so they will have a similar bloom habit, and they're always a good choice. I have borage. Borage is, I put it with the herbs, and our vendor doesn't sell it, so I like to have that for you each year. And it has a pretty blue flower that's edible, tastes like cucumbers. I got this melon this year. I had never seen this before. It's called an African horned melon. Now things are still a little small because we just haven't had as much sunshine as we usually have. But this is this really strange looking edible melon. So I thought I'd give it a try. This will be in with the veggies. And I'm going to just come over here a little bit. We've got gomphrena. And this is a mix, purple, pink, and white. It's going to be really pretty. And this is when you want to buy these things. You want to buy them when they're small so that they get established in your garden before they start blooming. So don't be put off by the fact that they're just only green, because you're actually doing yourself a favor by buying things before they bloom. Behind me, under this shade cloth, are some of the houseplants that we'll be selling this year. We have such an incredible variety of houseplants. I mean, just look at that. And so, look for those. Those will be inside the tent. And we have a few other things, miscellaneous. This is a Lisianthus. It gets a pretty pink flower. We have two different varieties this year. Another thing I wanted to mention is the papyrus. This is so fun. It's what you think it is, and it loves wet feet. You can even sink it into your water garden, and we're going to have a bunch of this year too.
Hi, I'm Karen Donovan. That sounds bad.
Do it over again. Go ahead.
It was like, hi, I'm Karen Donovan.
And I'm Liz Demkin, and we're here to show you today all of the great plants that we've been growing since the last 6 or 7 months in preparation for the plant sale. So the first thing we're going to show you are the coleus. We have probably over 200
Yes.
coleus and over a dozen varieties. And the way they start is,
Here, let me get the mom.
mother plants are cared for by garden club volunteers
Over the summer.
over the summer. And they're brought here in September, and we care for them for a few months. And sometime around November, we start taking cuttings. So this is what the cutting would look like. The soil we use is a soil that's prepared by David, and he brings us big pots of it, and we take about 6 or 7 cuttings of each plant. We dip them in hormone, and we stick them in this pot. And we keep them in the back under a shade cloth, and they're watered regularly until roots start popping out, at which point we move them into this pot, this size pot. And then that happens in probably end of January. And we have a team that helps us with this. We have about 5 or 6 people that help us with the cuttings. After the plants are mature enough, we move them into this size pot. And we put them in a tray of 6.
Yeah, we give them a good trim back so we can promote, bushy growth down at the bottom of the plant. Like, we take a lot of it off just so they start spreading out through the nodes at the bottom. So we'll have a nice big plant by the time plant sale comes along.
And once they start to shade each other, we move them into the same type of tray, but we only put 3 per tray. So this table and this table will be filled with coleus that we will bring to the sale. This is the Dipladenia table, and we have over 2 dozen Dipladenia here. Most of them came from Milburn. The town of Milburn had beautiful planters over the summer last year, and we contacted them and asked them what their plan was for the Dipladenia after the season, and they were just going to pitch them. So Karen and I drove there with permission and dug them up and brought them to the Quonset here, along with some Hawaiian Thai or cordyline, which did not do as well as we had hoped. But the Dipladenia are doing very well, and they're loaded with blooms, and they will be in great bloom when
By the time, for the plant sale.
We have about a dozen fancy leaf begonias that will be ready for sale. Some are already blooming. These are about 2-year-old plants, so they've been lovingly cared for under various conditions and turned out quite well.
They're gorgeous.
This is the succulent and cactus table, and I counted that we will have at least 200 succulents and cacti available. If you haven't ever grown a succulent or cactus, now is a perfect time to start. Cactus likes very hot, dry sun, and and if you don't like to water, this is the perfect plant for you because it can go for months without watering. If you have a bright area, one that doesn't get too much sun, contrary to popular belief, most succulents don't like direct scorching sun. So a bright area, a bright room, or one that gets a little bit of sunlight during the day would be a perfect spot for these plants. Now, these are all planted in terracotta pots and use a special potting soil that we create here. It's a blend of peat, perlite, gravel, grit, a little bit of fine sand, and some healthy dose of organic material, leaf mode. I put on a little bit more than usual because I really hate to water. So we're going to have a wonderful selection to choose from, and some of them are fabulous.
Huge.
We'll also have some lovely ferns available. Some of these ferns have a history in that they were rescued from leaf piles around town at the end of the season. Others were plants that had overgrown. Members had that they gave to us that we split and repotted, and they're having fantastic new growth. And others were purchased very small in the fall and have now filled out to a beautiful size. So we have almost 30 of those available for sale as well, all in great shape. Here are some scented geraniums that are potted up. We have about a dozen of them. They're lemon scented and already are having some beautiful blooms. These were taken as cuttings from the Duran Head and Herb Garden and wintered over very nicely. It was really our first shot at doing this, and it's been very successful. The cannas you see here are Maplewood Township material that will be put at the pool, so you can enjoy them there this summer. But if you want to enjoy some plants in your own home, we have these great hanging baskets that we've propagated. Wandering Dude, and this is a Mizzou. It has a beautiful spiky fluorescent pink flower that will grow when it heats up. So very easy to care for, very carefree.
And these are really nice and big and bushy, so they're going to be beautiful.
Right. This was, I don't want to tell you the provenance of that.
The background story?
Yeah. I'm going to get a reputation.
Liz, the scavenger girl.
So we hope you've enjoyed this little trip through the Quonset hut and that you found something that you'd like to make yours and bring home. We'll see you at the plant sale on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before Mother's Day weekend.
Yep. And if you want to help us with our projects next year, join us. We always can use a helping hand.
Hi, my name is David Dial, and my particular interest in providing plants for the plant sale are tropicals, things that work very well in the summer, give lots of bloom, and of course unfortunately don't get through the winter unless you keep them in a greenhouse like we're in right now. I'll show you some of the ones I'll be taking to the plant sale, particularly ones that are right now in flower. This is not a flower, but this is Irisine, beautiful color, very vibrant and impressive. Here is a plumbago, almost a great ground cover, lovely sky blue color. And this one, and they won't all be in flower for the plant sale, but there will be a lot of them, and that of course is exactly how they are. Here's a good old regular lemongrass, growing very sturdy, and it becomes, and you use it in make tea. It's popular in Thai cooking, of course, and we sell these. We've got about 30 of them, so they're very popular. Here's an unusual plant. It's a stick plant. In the euphorbia, this is called sticks on fire because the stems here, when they have good sunshine, turn a bright orange to red color. This has already started, so this is a great sample. They're already rooted. Don't worry about being empty. They have good roots. I think I've been growing those for 2 years before taking it. Here's another one that is a nice tropical. It's a night blooming cereus, and these are just beautifully growing. They're very vigorous. That's not a problem. They will produce flowers that come out of the edge of the leaf and are very, very fragrant. It's a good, they open, as you'd say from the name, round about evening, 6 to 7 o'clock, open out big white flowers and lovely fragrant, and it's lovely to have them with friends around for the evening as they enjoy the plant. That's a night blooming cereus. Here's another old favorite, a fig. And this is hardy here in Maplewood. This is a 2-year-old plant. I grew the cutting and rooted it and then put it up in our nursery garden for a year, and now we've got a huge, some of these may even produce figs this year. Normally they'll need to grow a bit taller, but that's a nice plant for thing. Here's another regular boxwood, bay laurel. You use the leaves in cooking. This is a 2-year plant. They will start growing pretty vigorously now you get them into the soil. These are not hardy, you have to bring them in for the winter time. Here's another one that is hardy. This is a daylily, but it's got a bonus forget-me-not with it. So you get that for free. If you want to feel it's a weed, we just root it out. It's very easy. But they will give you seeds next year, so you'll have forget-me-nots for quite a while. They're very, very pretty, of course, so early in the season. Another one that we have, this will be in the member grown, it's dwarf mondo grass. Very slow growing, beautiful tufts of nice British racing green colour. This is another euphorbia, just like the sticks on fire. Such a different looking plant. The euphorbia is a huge, huge family. This is Fiona's Yokio's gold. It has eventually it develops colour on the centre of the leaves of a kind of orange colour. So it's a very attractive and interesting plant. There's another euphorbia. And yet another one is a Caribbean copper leaf tree. This becomes a tree, can be 10 feet high if you let it grow and you keep it in the winter. Again, it's not winter hardy, but has beautiful, lovely coppery red leaves. And this is a 1-year-old plant, so it'll get bigger and bigger if you get it in the ground. And here's another, not a euphorbia. This is a jasmine, but it's selected to have very light coloured leaves. So the leaves itself become a feature of the plant in your garden. This again, not hardy. We call this Fiona's gold. And that is now the color, the leaves are, the flowers, sorry, I get it. The flowers are also a bright yellow color, so it is a fabulous marker in your garden. And here's a passion vine. This has even started to develop a flower leaf here. It obviously needs a trail, so rather than put a stake on it here, we'll let the customer do that. We have a number of these for the plant sale. As for all of these things, there's plenty of supply. And lastly, but not least at all, is a fuchsia. And here we are, this is a cutting from this year, and it's got flowers already starting. So a beautiful purchase. You put these in a planter, they don't need full sun. Put them in planter, give them a little bit of fertilizer, and they'll grow bushy. And then once you've got some flowers, you take off the tips and make the plant a lovely bush in your planter. Lovely plant. Thank you.